Our next presenter is going to talk about energy saving to resource saving, the next step of running efficient cloud infrastructure. So we had a high-level re-architecturing view, and now we're going to go more into the specifics of how to get better performance. And I'm going to introduce you to Martin Galle, who is Director of FAE at Supermicro. And in his responsibilities, that means he's responsible for pre-sales and for the solution architects at Supermicro. Supermicro is taking resource savings to the next level in growing a number of Fortune 100 companies' data centers. Find out how these advances in the way in which key compute components are being utilized to revolutionize cloud technology. Please help me welcome to the stage for his presentation on energy savings to resource savings, the next step of running efficient cloud infrastructure, Martin Galle.
So, welcome everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the introduction. I'm talking to you about resource saving, energy saving. I think everybody will agree that resource saving is a very important topic. For the cloud environment, it's of paramount importance. We have seen since many years workloads are moving to the cloud, let it be private or public cloud, and that means the number of systems being installed in a cloud environment are increasing since many years. So every dollar you can save on one single system means you save multiple dollars, multiple $1 million in the entire cloud environment. One observation which we have seen, or one observation which we made recently, is the increase of frequency in the refresh cycles of technologies. If you look, for example, in the storage space, we have been working with HDDs, the good old HDDs, since 20 or even 30 years. Around 10 years ago, SSD technology came up, and since a couple of years, 3 or 4 years, we have been working with NVMe, and nowadays NVDIMM is knocking at the door. So the cycles of development are becoming shorter. This is the case, of course, also for the CPU core numbers. We have started for the x86 technologies or compute platform in the early 2000s with a single core. Then some time later, dual core, quad core came up. Nowadays, 28 cores, 32 cores, and we are expecting a further increase of the core count. And the same is true for the network speed. We have been working with 1 gigabit for a decade or even longer. 10G is developing and was very long not really affordable. Now 10G is more or less the standard, but shortly followed with the 25G and the 100G technologies. So also there, development cycles, refresh cycles for technologies are decreasing. And this is very important for you as cloud service providers, because your customers, your users, they expect you to stay on top of these developments. They expect you to provide them an environment with all the latest technologies, simply because their application will benefit from these technologies. Their applications will run more efficiently if you're using and if you're providing the latest technologies. How can a server supplier like Supermicro help you providing all these latest technologies? And why is Supermicro especially suited for this partnership? For sure, a server supplier needs to be capable to follow the latest technologies as well. A short time to market, a high development power is essential, that we are able to provide the latest technologies to you as a customers. So let me go back a little bit in history of Supermicro. We have started back in the 90s as a motherboard vendor, and then followed up with complete systems. The complete system, the server system design, allowed us to get control over the cooling subsystem and also over the power provisioning, which is the first essential step towards a more efficient solution. Nowadays, we are talking about total solution on a rack level or even on a data center level. One important milestone in the development of the complete server system is the development of the twin technology or the twin form factor with more than one compute node in a chassis. In 2007, Supermicro released the first ever twin server solution. At that time, it was a one-use solution with 2 compute nodes. In 2010, the first, what we called twin 2U squared, came out with 4 compute nodes in a 2U form factor. So the advantage, obviously, is the higher density compared to 1U solutions. Another advantage is that it enables you to share the resources, like the power supply, like the cooling infrastructure, to share over the different nodes. And the larger form factor in a 2U, for example, allows the usage of larger fans, which are more energy efficient compared to high-speed, smaller fans. The latest and greatest product in the twin family is our Big Twin system. Our Big Twin system, the latest generation, supports the Xeon Skylake or the Xeon Scalable processor up to, so it's still the 2U form factor with the 4 nodes in one chassis. It supports up to 205 watts, dual 205 watts processors per node, and it supports also 24 memory DIMMs on each of the 4 nodes. Furthermore, we are supporting the latest storage technology like NVMe, and we have up to 3 PCI Express X16 interfaces. 2 of them are standard interfaces, and 1 of them is a Supermicro proprietary form factor. How is it possible to support 24 DIMMs in a twin technology or in a twin form factor? It was made possible by the development of what we call power sticks. So the power sticks are the power supplies which you see here in the middle of the server. 2 power supplies for redundancy, very slim devices which provide up to 2.6 kilowatt each. And due to the small form factor of the power supply, we have enough space to have 24 DIMM slots per node. Also very important, this server supports free air cooling. It is very heat tolerant. It allows you to work with it in an ambient temperature of up to 42 degrees. Our latest, so this is an overview of, we are not only producing, obviously not only producing twin technology or twin servers, we have a very broad product portfolio, and these are the new products which came out during the last 12 months only. And basically, these are all the product families, server families, which are supporting the Skylake Scalable CPU nowadays. So behind each of these pictures, it's a complete family with multiple models. So we have different twin form factors. We have the Ultra model, GPU servers, blade servers, workstations, and so on. Also, we have a decent product portfolio supporting the AMD EPYC. AMD EPYC, one example of our product is also the big twin for the AMD EPYC. So we have a twin solution, 4 nodes in a 2U form factor supporting dual AMD EPYC CPUs. And there's also other, like Ultra systems, standard rack mount servers for AMD. Another example which proves our technology leadership and our power for innovation is the support of latest and up-to-date storage technologies. So these servers are going to or are supporting NVMe, different form factors. For example, the U.2 NVMe. We are supporting up to 32 drives in the 1U form factor. Also 32 drives are supported, 32 drives in the ruler form factor are supported in the 1U form factor. And we have another server supporting the M.2 and the successor, the M.3 form factor. In a 1U, there will be support for 36 M.3 storage devices. Depending on the capacity of the devices, we can support up to 1 petabyte in a 1U. So if we have, and we expect in the next 12 months to have really high capacity flash storage devices in a ruler form factor or the U.2 form factor. So with this short excursus, I hope I have demonstrated that Supermicro is a really leading-edge technology adapter. Our development cycles are really short. We are very early adopting new technologies with a very short time to market, time to product. Now I want to go back to the main topic of the talk. The energy and resource saving, and how can we help you to do or to go that way and keep track with the latest technology developments. In order to do so, I want to introduce another product group, which is the blade systems, but most of the things I'm talking about is also true for other models. The blade system was chosen simply because we have a very good success story with a very prominent installation on the blade system. So blade, 2 families. SuperBlade supports dual and even quad-core scalable processors. In the blade technology, you always have the network integrated in the chassis, so that is a blade. The SuperBlade has the option to integrate also high-speed, low-latency network switches like EDR or OmniPath, and it allows a density of 20 dual-socket nodes in the 6U and other form factors. Very much comparable is the MicroBlade. It's a little bit smaller, and the MicroBlade is designed to support mainly single CPU, single-socket solutions. With a single socket solution, we can host up to 14 or 28 with another blade model, up to 28 UP nodes in the 3U form factor. It comes with redundant, high-efficiency power supplies, titanium level, so 96% efficiency. And if we are talking today about resource savings, the last 3 points are most important. 40 degrees Celsius ambient temperature tolerance, so it allows free air cooling. I will come back to that point a little bit later. It has a very high efficient system design of 10 watts power consumption for the motherboard. And it supports Supermicro disaggregated design. So these 3 points are the most important when we're talking about resource savings. The last point, Supermicro disaggregated design, what does it mean? We have started with the fast development of new technologies. And the difficulties to keep track with these new technologies, because there is, of course, some cost involved. If you want, for example, to adapt your server base to the latest CPU, to the latest socket, you would normally exchange your whole installation. With the Supermicro disaggregated design, it's possible to keep major parts of the system, whatever component you replace. So what we disaggregated are the main working components in the system, like we disaggregated the CPU plus memory complex from the storage complex, from the cooling complex, like fans, and from the power supply, including the chassis. That means if you want to exchange the CPU and the socket and the memory, you simply exchange a small part of the server, like this guy is presenting. By the way, this is the Intel IT Chief Technical Officer, and he didn't explicitly mentioned, but if you look a little bit closer, you will of course see that he's presenting a Supermicro product, actually a Supermicro MicroBlade. And this is the real-world example which I'm presenting now. And I want to share some details of this real-world example. Investment cost. As I pointed out, due to the disaggregated design, it is possible to upgrade your solution, the solution, to the next level of, for example, in this case, it was the new socket and the new memory subsystem, by keeping the storage, the cooling, and the power supplies, and the entire chassis. So the calculation we did with our customer here resulted in an estimation for savings of more than 50%, up to 65%, depending on certain parameters. So due to the disaggregated design, the investment cost decreased very much. And also the waste generation. You don't have to throw away your old chassis, your old power supplies, things like that. So clear savings on the investment side. Second point, in this example, they already had a high dense solution with 180 nodes and a 60U rack, so it's a really high rack. With the MicroBlade, it was possible to go up to 280 nodes in the 60U rack. So the calculation gives you 56% improvement in density, and this was for the special case only. Another blade, and I have another example, will even give you or allow you more savings in the density or better improvement of the density. And the most important, or also very important, is of course the energy savings. The single node or one node of the MicroBlade system has a power consumption of 140 watts only, including the 80 watt CPU which is installed, including also the fans, the centralized fans, including also network equipment. The high ambient temperature, the temperature tolerance of the server of 40 degrees allows for free air cooling, which means there is no need for additional air conditioning or additional cooling. The entire data center in which this installation is hosted has a PUE of 1.06, so there's almost no additional energy needed for the cooling. And so this data center is actually located in the Bay Area in Santa Clara. It's not in Iceland, for example. It could be also installed in Central Europe. If we compare these values with traditional or with the previous installation of this customer, the power savings or the cost savings for the energy alone summed up, accumulated to $13 million over the runtime. And the next slide gives you again a short summary in this for this installation. The installation contains 75,000 nodes in total. The data center is one of the most efficient data centers in the world with a PUE of 1.06. I talked about the potential of CapEx savings, of investment savings due to the disaggregated design, and there was, due to the high density of the solution, there's a saving or improvement of server density of 56%. So these aspects were the story which we developed together with the customer and which is now realized in this data center. There are even more savings possible with an alternative MicroBlade model. This model allows 2 independent nodes per blade. So you see on top the drives for the blades, and then there's for the nodes, and then there's the first node and the second node. All is integrated on one blade. With this solution, you can have 28 nodes in a 3U form factor. And if we calculate, including the power supplies, including the coolings, 1 gigabit switch, and also the management module, we'll end up with 3.6 or 3,500 watts for this entire box of 3U, which means 127 watts per node, which is the max theoretical power consumption, under the assumption that the CPU, for example, consumes 80 watts, which is normally not the case in the idle conditions or in the standard real usage conditions. So the actual power consumption will be even much lower than the 127 watts per node. There are even more options to help you save costs, to help you save resources. One is the strategy not to work on the node level, but to increase the entities to the complete rack or even to complete data center. Rack scale design allows you to pool all the resources or to consider all the resources which are provided by different servers as one pool of resources. And then the users can take from this pool whatever they need for their application. This higher flexibility, so we are sort of resolving, moving away the limits of the nodes. So there's the resources are shared over not within one node only, but within the rack. This higher flexibility allows for a more efficient use of resources because the user can take exactly what they need. So higher efficiency of available resources. Resources simply do idle less than with a traditional layout. And another aspect of the rack and data center level consideration. With the Supermicro server management tool, it is much more easy to deploy and manage the installation. You can manage the complete installation, the complete data center at one time, which means in the end you can also save human resources, which is also important factor. So that was basically all. I would like to give you some things to remember. First of all, Supermicro has the world's best product portfolio, at least the broadest product portfolio, and we are first time to market. So whenever there's a new technology, we are the first to adapt this newer technology and bring out a respective product. Resource saving. So we have seen that there's opportunities, possibilities to save the resources like the energy by optimized server power consumption and by the free air cooling enablement, which is made possible due to the high heat tolerance of the servers. I presented the disaggregated design, which allows you to exchange only the part which has to be refreshed and keep the rest of the server, so it reduces cost, it reduces waste, and it reduces energy for production. And with the rack level design, it is also possible to better utilize the resources you have and to save human resources as well. So time is over. If there is questions, we are here. We have a booth at F09. I will be around today and tomorrow. My colleagues will be around as well. So if you have further questions, just visit our booth. Take the opportunity to see the disaggregated design live. We also have some other very interesting products displayed, like the Big Twin I was referring to earlier. And also many other interesting products. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Martin Galle, ladies and gentlemen. Supermicro. And you'll be on the booth this afternoon and tomorrow to continue the conversation with everyone. Thank you so much, Martin. Fabulous.